The headlines: Nelson Street murder suspect is remanded. New VAT rules come into effect. And thinking of buying a home? It might be a good time. Welcome to Nation News for Tuesday, this first day of September 2015. Thanks for joining us. The man accused of murder in last month's Nelson Street stabbing has been remanded to Dodds until September the 29th. Cedric O'Neill Maynard, a 34-year-old auto body repair technician of Kingsland, was not required to plead to the charge of murdering Pine resident Christopher Callender at Club Zanzibar on August the 22nd. Callender, a bouncer at the club, died from his stab wounds. Two other men were hospitalized. Roebuck Street will be reopened to regular traffic from Wednesday. The road was closed last month while the Barbados Water Authority was replacing underground mains. The road will be reopened from High Street to the junction at Crumpton Street. Upper Roebuck Street will not be totally closed but will be reduced to one lane. Changes to the value-added tax announced in the budget have just come into effect, which means some items like high-end beef may be more expensive. The government has comprehensively changed the list of food items that are exempt from VAT on the grounds that those removed could not be considered as part of a basic food basket. Items still on the list include cane sugar, wheat flour, brown and white rice, fresh fruit, pasta, vegetables, potatoes, chicken, and various types of fish. The Ministry of Finance expects a net gain of over $20 million to the Treasury as a result of the changes. Barbados seems prepared to make another try at that elusive fishing agreement with Trinidad and Tobago. The two countries have been talking on and off about a deal since the previous accord expired on December the 31st, 1991. Yes, that long. The government here seems to have been buoyed by its signing on Monday of a new Maritime Treaty with St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The treaty was inked by Prime Ministers Frendel Stewart and Ralph Gonsalves at government headquarters. Mr. Stewart said such negotiations can be protracted, but there is a good relationship between the two neighbours. It was left to CARICOM Ambassador Bobby Morris to give an update on the proposed new talks with Trinidad and Tobago, which holds general elections on Monday.
I am therefore going to be having discussions with the fisher folk, particularly the boat owners, as well as the fishermen themselves. And I have to have some discussions at the level of Tobago. And clearly a certain date is important in my thinking. Sometime early in this month, some decisions will be made in terms of the internal situation in Trinidad and Tobago. And I am not making any anticipation one way or another, but as soon as that is over, Barbados will be starting to mount this position to start negotiations on a bilateral agreement that looks at fishing between our two countries.
Barbadians may be a bit weary about a long-term investment in a home at this time given the tough economic conditions, but as we hear in this special report, this might be actually a good time to invest in a home.
The issue of adequate and affordable housing has been occupying the minds of ordinary Barbadians and officials. Well, one businessman believes he has the solution, and he has put forward a list of recommendations he believes Barbados should implement. The suggestions include extending mortgages by a further 20 years to 50, a ferry system from Oyston and Spicetown to Bridgetown to reduce traffic congestion in the capital, and a properly regulated private sector transportation system that delivers on-time service across the island. The proposals by Benjamin Niles, the manager of Apex Construction, come as officials mull a 20-year plan that will incorporate suggestions made during the recently held Habitat 3 consultations. Niles disagrees with the 20-year plan and says it is too short-term. His suggestions go further and call for the implementation of a monorail system from Waterford into the capital sometime in the future. The construction boss is also making a case for the implementation of a mandatory housing fund managed by the state to assist residents in owning their own homes, a suggestion he says is based on the Singapore model.
But it should be mandatory that every individual who, when he starts to work, puts that money there. Even if he doesn't need it, it will come back to him at that point when he is getting his house.
In the meantime, NAS admits that the economic conditions continue to hurt the construction sector, but is telling residents that this low period could actually work in their favor.
Now is a better time than most times to get a house. For instance, about 20 years ago, interest rates for a mortgage were 9 and 11%, that kind of area. Certainly 9%. Today, interest rates are 4.8% to get a mortgage. And because demand is down, prices are down. And therefore, what better time than the current time to get a home?
Some of NAS's recommendations were made during the Habitat 3 consultations. Reporting for Nation News, I am Carol Williams.
Now for this week's commentary, which focuses on storm-hit Dominica.
In spite of the many things that divide us as a Caribbean region, there is more that unites us as a people. That is why we tip our hats to the member states of CARICOM for their swift response to the people of Dominica in the wake of Tropical Storm Erica. Millions of dollars in aid and supplies have been sent to the country, and relief personnel are also on the ground. Dominica has been devastated by flooding and is mourning the loss of 22 lives while 12 people remain missing. It is a harsh lesson we in this region need to take to heart. Every year, disaster officials drill the message to be prepared. The hurricane season is fully upon us, and we need to start to take this message to heart.
In sport, Barbados' junior and senior teams have finished in third place at the Caribbean Badminton Championships in the Dominican Republic. Barbados finished with 21 medals overall, including 2 silvers. And finally, a man in the United States has won $1 million in the California lottery after buying a winning ticket with money he found at the airport. The California lottery said Hubert Tang had not bought a lottery ticket in 10 years. When he found a $20 bill on the street outside San Francisco International Airport last week, he used it to buy 2 scratch-off tickets at a market. One of them led to the $1 million top prize. Tang told the California lottery that he was in shock when he won. And that's where we end the Nation News for Tuesday. For more, log on to nationnews.com as well as YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And remember to pick up your Midweek Nation on Wednesday or subscribe to our e-paper.